When you're being cross-examined, now that's the portion of the evidential process that occurs after you've told your story the first time in court. You should remember, it is not cross-examination. It's just a questioning of your version. That doesn't mean everyone thinks you're a liar or making things up. It's testing your evidence to make sure that the court is hearing the truth. When that happens, an advocate or a prosecutor might try to get under your skin. They might try to stir you in some way to cause you to want to argue or be evasive or to overreact and lose your temper. It's vitally important that you give your evidence in cross-examination in the same manner as your evidence in chief. That is, hopefully in a relaxed and calm way. Don't allow your voice to react. It's certainly okay to modulate, that is, to put inflection in your voice. That's not a problem at all. But don't overreact when someone suggests to you you're mistaken. You may even have someone suggest to you that you're making the version up or that you're telling lies. That's their prerogative. That is their job. It's not for you to overreact to that or become in some way enraged. That will lessen the weight that you can give to your evidence or that a magistrate will give to it. That's especially important if you're dealing with a matter that might involve violence, especially if you are in fact the defendant. If the magistrate sees that you overreact at the prospect of being thought of as a liar or constructing evidence on the day or simply mistaken or simply twisting the evidence, if you become enraged or overreact or lose your temper at that, a magistrate might refer back through the evidence and say, well, these are other things that have been said about you. These are things you're said to have done. Why in those circumstances might you not have overreacted? Perhaps you did get violent. So remember, be calm at all times. You'll know what the story is. You'll know what your version is. Just stick to it. And if someone wants to twist and turn and put alternative propositions to you, let them. You remain firm as you have been in your evidence in chief, calmly delivering the evidence and knowing that it's truthful.
Well, that's not my question. My question is, surely you had ample opportunity to do something.
Maybe I could have blocked it, or maybe I could have...
Well, did you? Did you move?
No, he hit me.
No, before there was any striking, you say he's leant across the table and swung at you. Why didn't you, if that in fact happened, take evasive action?
I was just there supporting my friend.
I know you were. But when you say you saw this blow coming towards you from right across the table using extra long arms, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you move? Why didn't you say, stop it? Why didn't you block him? You did none of those things, did you?
No.
In fact, he never struck you, did he?
Yes.
You fabricated this whole allegation.
When you're giving your evidence, it may be quite possible, and indeed highly likely, that an objection will be taken. If an objection is taken, your job is to sit there and do nothing. The objection won't be about you necessarily. It may be to the way a question is framed. It may be that the question is impermissible, irrelevant, misleading, conniving, and just going to be confusing to the court. Your job is to simply sit and listen while the person who objects informs the court of what the objection is. The magistrate will then ask the person who asked the question what it is they are trying to get at, whether they think that it is a legitimate question. If the person does, then they will argue with the court in a gentlemanly fashion to put their case as to why they should be allowed to answer that question. But remember, it's not about you. It's about the question itself. You need to remain quiet. Now, an objection can be taken in a number of ways. It might be simply that an advocate or a prosecutor says, I object. Or, in the heat of battle, it may be, I object. Or it might be, I object. It could even be simply, wait there, Your Honour. However the objection is taken, please remember, you need to sit there and remain silent until the magistrate has made a decision between the opposing arguments of the defence and the prosecution, and then rules on whether or not the question can be asked, and if so, whether you need to answer it.
And what happened next?
Well, Tony told me that Jimmy had gone home.
Objection.
I didn't believe that Jimmy had gone
Objection,
home.
Your Honour.
Mr. Mayo.
At the end of the proceedings, that is, after all the evidence has been given, the matter is summed up. The ultimate summary is by the magistrate, of course, who says he or she has listened to the evidence, they summarise that evidence and they make a finding. But before that occurs, the prosecutor and the defence advocate, your representative from Armstrong Legal, they have the opportunity of presenting what they say is the result the magistrate should come to. It is the job of Armstrong Legal's representatives to summarise the evidence and convince the magistrate that either the offence isn't proved because there are elements within the offence that haven't been satisfied, or that on the evidence as a whole, the court could not be satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the evidence proves the offence has been committed. It's impossible for me to sit here and give you example after example of how that might occur, but here are some examples that we've produced.